Sankara does not intend his position that existence exists without objective location to be a paradox or a kind of obscurantist mysticism. He believes the world is mysterious in that it is indeterminable, but not so existence itself. His crucial point is that the singular place to discover existence without objectifying it is within the foundation of our own phenomenal experience, as consciousness itself. Sankara analyzes consciousness through both perspectives of his two orders of reality. From the provisional empirical order, consciousness is a witnessing presence by which all mental cognition is revealed as known. The absolute perspective strips consciousness of all relational properties, including intentionality and its status as a witness, leaving only the intrinsic self-illuminating nature of consciousness remaining. He identifies this pure non-intentional consciousness as numerically identical with non-dual existence, which is Brahman. Witnessing consciousness. From the standpoint of individual experience, witnessing consciousness is the locus of one's subjective being, the basic sense of self-existence, and the foundation of self-identity. It is the glue that unifies disparate forms of experience like waking, dreaming, and different modes of perception. And it accounts for memory and diachronic personal identity. This consciousness is distinct from an autobiographical sense of self constructed through recollective memory traces. Sankara distinguishes witnessing consciousness from the mind, mental qualities, and cognitive modes. Consciousness is not composed of physical materials, structures, or processes, whereas the mind is composed of inert subtle matter. Consciousness is not an emergent property of the brain and body, which are composed of inert coarse matter. Because that which is inert cannot give rise to sentiency, witnessing consciousness always accompanies cognition. When one's mind assumes the form of intentional objects, the cognition is immediately manifested as known in the presence of witnessing consciousness. Consciousness illumines cognitions directly with infallible access and without the mediation of another mental mode. It reveals first-order states of cognition, including sense perception and internal states such as affect and imagination, as well as second-order states such as introspection and metacognitive monitoring. Yet the witness is not itself a meta-function of the mind, such as an inner sense, a higher-order cognition, or an introspective awareness that deliberately recognizes the fact of one's experience. The witness is not a separate substantial entity at all according to Sankara, nor does it possess agency in revealing cognition as a knower. It is intransitive and receptive, simply the passive witnessing itself. Only the mind possesses object-directed intentionality, not witnessing consciousness. Sankara understands consciousness as immediately evident, yet outside the scope of any means of knowledge. As the illuminating background of all phenomenal states, witnessing consciousness is the presupposition of all epistemological knowing. It is intrinsically first-personal. Consciousness is therefore not objectifiable. This conclusion further entails that it is unaffected by what it illumines and remains untouched by mental states. Consciousness does not undergo any causation whatsoever because causation must presuppose its objecthood status. Sankara views witnessing consciousness as invariable despite the fluctuations of mental modes. One foundational argument for this is his analysis of waking, dreaming, and deep dreamless sleep states based on the Brihadaranyaka and Mandukya Upanishads. He considers these three mental states as exhaustive of human experience, and claims that consciousness persists constantly through all three despite their mutual exclusivity. When awakening from a dream state, though the dream world and dream body discontinue, there is no rupture to the continuity of one's consciousness. Consciousness continues seamlessly even in deep dreamless sleep where ego and agency resolve into an unmanifest state and subject-object distinctions collapse. One might object that persistence of consciousness in deep sleep is not possible given the mainstream premise of identifying consciousness as intentional experience. Sankara disagrees with the premise that consciousness is intrinsically intentional. He counters that the absence of intentional experience in deep sleep does not entail the lack of consciousness insofar as consciousness is not intrinsically intentional. It exists even in the absence of cognition representing an object. Rejecting his position is difficult because one cannot claim direct perception of unconsciousness in deep sleep, and in that case cannot inductively infer unconsciousness either. Rather than viewing deep sleep as the absence of consciousness, Sankara claims there is simply an absence of objects. Consciousness of the absence of objects is not the absence of consciousness. This is akin to having one's eyes wide open and seeing but in a pitch-black room. Consciousness simply has nothing to illumine, therefore no intentional experience occurs nor any awareness of one's self as a knower. This presence of consciousness in deep sleep is possible because it is self-illuminating and exists independently from objects or knowing agents.